Right, it's a great pleasure to welcome Daniel from Crad Design back for this webinar this evening for Expats Portugal, navigating architectural services in Portugal here, designing a new build, renovating a ruin or refurbishing a property. What are the steps for a successful project? We'll have a look this evening. Expert insight, of course, from Daniel from Crad Design, different types of project. We'll go through it step by step as well so you can understand what's happening, and some delightful case studies. Daniel's work is fabulous and you'll see some examples of it tonight, and the all-important Q&A as well. So if you've got any questions, do by all means pop them into the chat as we proceed tonight with the webinar. And of course, as members and people who've come to this webinar specifically to hear it live this evening, as we do every Thursday evening at 7:30, you'll be able to stick around and hang out with Daniel behind the scenes after we've concluded the recording. So let me welcome Daniel from Crad Design then to the Expats Portugal webinar this evening. How are you, Daniel? Great to see you.
Thank you. It's good to see you. It's been a while, and we did one of these, I think, 2 years ago.
Yes.
A bit of an update to that, and it's nice to see all the members here with their cameras on, and I can see faces and identify people. And
yeah, that's right. He's watching you, and he can tell if the Portuguese red wine is being consumed, that sort of thing this evening. Stay dry, stay safe, everybody. Thunderstorms. The rain has returned over Portugal. Yeah, it's been a while, Daniel, as you say, and I think a lot's changed in Portugal generally. You know, in the country, in the economy, there seems to be a bit of a building boom. Is that reflected in your work and business as well?
It is certainly. It is. Well, here in Torshvedrish, where I'm based, just looking around the town, I can see 8 big cranes.
Yeah.
So 3 of them are doing flats, apartments, buildings, and 2 other ones are, I think, are doing big houses. And every day I walk past the real estate agent, I see things have been sold and things have been bought. So
Yeah.
the market is moving really fast.
Yes.
And it's exciting. I think people are building, people are refurbishing. A lot of people are coming here from the United States and the rest of Europe, and the UK also.
Yes.
So I think it's a little bit more now difficult from the UK, but I mean, not because of the Brexit, but they have the other systems. You know that better than I do. The other
Yes.
systems, so they can also come less.
Absolutely. D7 all the way. The
Exactly.
most popular, I think, amongst the Brits these days. And these new foreign influences, is that making its mark on architecture and people's tastes and requirements as well?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think it's also educating the Portuguese crowd also. So we were talking about lightweight steel structures are
Yes.
getting a lot of hype. Timber structures are
Yes.
getting recognized even by the Portuguese. So there's for that reason there are more builders now building in lightweight structures, and they're understanding how to do proper insulation and how to do proper breathable houses. Because I think the majority of the knowledge is coming in from the outside. So people from the United States or from the rest of Europe come here and demand a house that is not moldy. So the building industry is improving itself
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
accommodate the market.
Yep. Keep an eye on Kippertree, incidentally, regarding that subject and access to great houses here in Portugal. So how lovely that the foreigners are bringing something useful to the conversation here. Let's talk more about that tonight, and we'll hand over to you. You are able to present. You've got a
Yes,
little
I'm going to share my
presentation.
screen, and I
Well,
hope.
while you're finding that, let me say good evening to George. Will we see you in Coimbra, George? It was good to be in your company in Batalha. Good evening, everybody, says George. Denise, hola, boa noite. I see we are being tracked by AI. Are we? Well, yeah, I mean, I guess we just are all the time. I wonder if you mean specifically. I think there is an AI note taker. Nothing to worry about, though, Denise, although that's what they all say. Thunderstorms and heavy rain here in Wilderness, South Africa as well. Oh, okay, amazing. And Debbie, I think that things are settling down for you. You're back into the call now, and see you at the weekend, Debbie. And yes, George, see you in Coimbra the day after tomorrow. Exciting stuff for the Expats Portugal community. Meet up in Coimbra this weekend. We're going to have a great time. Back to you, Daniel, of Crad Studio, Crad Design.
Okay, thank you. So, just a brief introduction. My name is Daniel, and I'm from Crad Studio. I was educated in architecture firstly in Auckland, New Zealand, So I'm familiar with the sort of timber structure construction. I moved around working in Australia, I worked in Germany, and then I moved to the UK in London, and I worked there for quite a long time. That's where I met my partner. She's Portuguese. And after some years, we moved here. I did my PhD at the Bartlett in the UCL, University College London. We set up a company in the UK, and we were there for 5 years. And then we decided to move to Portugal to ease things up. Our company is based in Torres, which is Lisbon region, but we do work all around Portugal. So we've done projects in Viana do Castelo, which is far north. We do projects in Sintra, we've done projects in Lisbon, and we've done projects in the Algarves. So we kind of move around, and I think 3 hours drive is not much, although we consider how we take on projects. For example, if we need extensive site inspections, we partner up with somebody far north or far south. But for the majority of the project, we can take care of most of Portugal. Now, the presentation. I've prepared a short presentation. I'll try to be fast so we can talk about this and answer questions at the end. So the general architectural services, step by step, and I'm going to show a lot of examples of what they are in each stage. And I think all of it is our work and our projects. And then just a general conversation about what's happening with the costs, what is sustainability, what are the construction methodology we can use, and then we go into the questions and answers session. So let's just start. Obviously, the first thing we need when we're thinking of building a house or renovating, we need a site. So the stages, and I wrote here Crad Studio stages because I've noticed it's based on RIBA standard stages, so the UK Royal Institute of British Architects. But I've noticed in Portugal some architects do differently. So, but we've adopted the RIBA standards and we operate in that method. So we use the standard Royal Institute of British Architects standards, and our working procedures, file naming system, structuring, everything is based on that standard. So stages 0 and 1, which is the preparation and briefing, is the very beginning, finding a site and analyzing the site. So often clients come to us before they have found the site or before they know the plot, which is good because you can have the conversation on what they should be searching for. But our work really starts once you have shortlisted your preferred site or refurbishment or a ruin that you want to redo. Once you have 1 or 2 options, we can analyze that property or the site to see if it meets your needs. We can talk to the local council to see if how close to the boundary you can build. Does it have the right of access? Does it have main water pipes running underneath the property? Make sure that the site is correct before you do the full purchase. Then we understand the regulations of the site with the local council. So we usually give them a call, or some councils require a written proposal. So they have to write to them and they respond back in written in 20 days. But anyway, we research the site in depth so that you don't buy a plot that you realize later, I cannot build what I want here. Or I cannot refurbish this ruin because it's in a historic category and I can only add a roof to it. So those little investigation at the beginning is important. And then sometimes before purchasing the plot, we do a bit of space proofing. So we do a quick sketch studies of what can be done on the site and the available footprint for the construction. And that kind of gives the clients a peace of mind that the plot they're buying is ideal for what they want to build. They get enough sun. It's not going to be too windy. They have the view that they want, etc., etc. And then we develop an architectural brief. And So this is one of the views in the site project we did in Avo, and beautiful, beautiful views there. And the architectural brief is basically a summary of all the client's requirement for the project. And so often it comes in PDF of 30 pages, starting with a lot of text at the beginning, and then images that the clients have collated over the years, or they send to us through WhatsApp or through emails. So they collate all of that into one place and talk about what the clients need. So how many bedrooms, what do they need in each bedroom? What kind of kitchen would you like? Send us pictures of the wine space you want, the pool environment you want, the quality of the living room. And we collate all of that into an architectural brief that can aid us as we design. And while we go through stage 2, 3, 4, designing the house, I constantly refer back to the project brief, architectural brief, and see, the client said they wanted the worktop at 1 meter high, or they wanted a wine room that can accommodate 1,000 bottles, etc. And it helps me design as I move forward. We don't necessarily design in the style that the pictures are given, and we just sort of kind of sets the general mood of the quality that the client is after and the materiality they're hoping to build. We do a daylight sunlight analysis of what the mass is going to get in terms of the sun, direct sunlight and daylight filtered. So that would be more or less the stage 1, very brief. You put together a package of what you want to do. Is it suitable? Let's move forward. And then on the second stage, it's the concept design. And we have to employ a surveyor to go to the plot or the ruin and measure up all the property with the levels, the amount of trees, where is the access, and that will come to us in a DWG format. Then we can start working on it properly in terms of direct, exact dimensions, exact levels. And then we prepare the concept and do a general plan of the house. So, where the rooms should be, where you want the bedroom. You want to catch the morning sun in your master bedroom and the evening sun in the living room. And we develop a mass of, based on the brief you've given. I like timber structure. I want slow proof. I want to keep as many trees on site as possible. I want a pool close by. All of those give us a sort of parameter to build, to develop a form. And to develop, these are not the same project, they're different. I thought it would be intrusion to put all of one project because some clients might not like that. So kind of the images you see jump between 3 or 4 projects. And then we develop a plan where you have the living room, kitchen, dining, 1 bedroom, garage, and then the downstairs with the bedrooms and the studio and the gym, etc. And we kind of cement that into place. We have plans, we have a mass, we have the elevations, what the building looks like from 4 sides, the front, back, corner, what the materials should be. Is it going to be terracotta at the bottom, render at the top? Are your window frames are going to be black? Everything that is necessary for the council, the local council, to know. And for the local council, everything external is very important. So the color of the building, the height of the building, how close it is to the boundary, what kind of planting you have close to the boundary, and where is your pool, what color frames you have, how much openings you have. All of that the council needs to know. So that's the first step. We set up these elements of the external configuration. So that would be more or less our stage 2 concept design. We kind of suss out what is the building from the outside. Then on stage 3, which is developing the architectural drawings for the council, we go in and develop the design further. We coordinate the engineers so that we know where the structure, the columns are going to be, where the beams are going to be, can the windows accommodate where they are and have beams above them. We'll have the plumbing and the drainage all worked out into the plan. If there are minor changes required, for example, you need a riser here, we adjust the plan so that you have a riser for the pipes to go up, or you have a stiffening wall structure in the middle. We adjust the plan slightly so that we can accommodate all the services, all the structure. And then we're ready to submit to the planning application. And if you are doing a new construction, and then there is a typical planning application, the package is first the architectural drawings. So all the plan, section, elevation, site explanation goes to the council. The council approves it or asks further question. Then once that's done, it's followed by the engineering package, which is all the ventilation, electrical, gas, if we have it, structures, civil, all the engineers put together, typically done by 1 or 2 engineers, puts together a package of the engineering. And that's for a new construction. If you're developing a ruin, it's similar to the above, but to the previous, as I mentioned, above I'm mentioning to the text, will be rather than bringing a planning application for a new build, it will be for changes and additions. So it's a slight sort of name change, but it's more or less the same process. In new construction, in urbanism, so in urbanization that is already with the master plan and it's already defined where the houses should be and how tall they should be. In that case, the engineering package and the architecture package going together for the council. And because it's a lot of work that is submitted at once, we recommend to have a pre-planning meeting with the council or with the organization that is overseeing it. For example, if it's a golf resort, and within that golf resort, they have a master plan already set up for all the houses, we have a meeting with the resort to make sure the design is correct. So a pre-planning meeting is needed, I think, in that case. Lastly, a refurbishment. Refurbishment really depends on to what extent are we changing. If we're changing things inside, then we don't need a planning application. We just skip this step. We develop the drawings for the builder. If we are making minor changes to the external, for example, making 1 or 2 windows bigger or changing the color of the frames, then that is just the information for the council, a note that we send to the council. The council typically says, thank you for sending the note, we move forward. If we're doing extensive changes in the refurbishment to the external envelope, for example, we're raising the roof a little bit, we're building a little annex, then we will require a planning application. So we need to go through the process of understanding, providing all the information, justifying why we're building that, why we're doing that. Again, another process with planning with the local council. Please ask any questions throughout, and I think we'll answer them at the end. But
I'm keeping an eye on that, Daniel.
Feeling there are questions around, just mentioning that. So then we do a landscape proposal. In some cases, we include that in our service. In some cases, the client doesn't want it, or they have their own landscape architect we'll be happy to work with. In some other cases, it's mandatory by the region or by the council or by the urbanization team of urbanization. So a landscape architect is needed or a landscape plan is needed. And we go and specify what trees we want, what species we want, how is that relevant for the area, and it suits or accommodates the local environment, the biodiversity, the irrigation, how do the plants. And in some cases, we go a little bit further. We understand, okay, if you're close to the ocean, you need plants that are that can take on seawater and are comfortable. If you have pets, we look at plants that are pet friendly, so you have a dog or cat doesn't get sick going around the garden. So that's landscape. Then we kind of have a planning, let's go back here. We have a planning application set. We send it to the council, we have it approved. While the council is taking their time approving that, usually takes one month. Legally is 20 days. And they might ask questions, and the 20 days is extended, but typically 1 month, 1.5 months, we should get some sort of answer from the council. During that time, we developed the stage 4, which is the technical construction drawings. And in these, we develop a lighting plan with all the lighting. We do more detailed drawings of how does the handrail go around the stair? Do you have a light at the mid level? Do you have a light at the top? What kind of finishes are inside? What is the flooring? Do you have a copper bench? Is it a wooden wall? So we define more now the internal arrangement and the materiality. We design the in-built products. For example, is the bed part of the wall? Is it connected? Or do we have a bench or a wardrobe that is walk-in? We design all these details. We select the fittings. So what kind of kitchen taps we want, what sinks we need, what's the bathtub, and all the little fittings and fixtures for the house we select with the client. Obviously, we talk back and forward what brand they like, if they prefer something expensive, cheap, durable. And then we develop the material list. So how many square meters of internal wall you have, how many square meters of external wall you have. And these are very important for the builders to price. In our case, I haven't met a builder that prices the construction without that set of document. So you need to know how many square meters of finishes you have, how much metal work you have, handrails, balustrades, how much timber work you have, the number of doors, the number of windows, the size of the windows, a window map, how they open, which orientation. So all of that information, which will aid the builder later to build the house and also to price it, is at this stage. And unfortunately, in Portugal, sometimes people skip this, and the builders that shouldn't do, they price based on stage 3, just the planning application drawings, which are just simple plans, section, and elevations. And then later, during construction, they realize they've underpriced it, and the price goes up and up and up during construction. Or they build something entirely different to what was agreed in the plan because the details were not specified. So the builder didn't know what taps to use, so he chose the cheapest tap or the cheapest plumbing system. And then later, problems occur, leaks happen, things break after 1 or 2 years. And at that point, the client has to blame the builder, the construction. In most other countries, this stage 4 technical design is a requirement by the council. So you are not allowed to build a house without stage 4. You need to show construction drawings to the council to build it. In Portugal, this is not required, although the builders need it. Then we develop the specification. So as I mentioned, what paint, what RAL color, what is the timber, is it cedar, is it oak, etc., etc. And the last part of stage 4, we invite builders for tender. We give them the package and say, give us a quote for how much you will build this house. I'm going to just skip through some. I'm talking and I'm not scrolling down the images. So this is sort of the material board we work through. External paint, internal paint, the terracotta underlay, the wooden flooring, timber flooring, the stone for the kitchen, the copper for the bench, the metal, the gray metal, etc., etc. So we source all these materials and the finishes at stage 4, so that the client and the builder knows exactly what they're going to get at the end. And you get some images at the end of stage 4 that represent what the environment inside is going to be. At the very beginning, we defined, the lights are going to come from the top. You need a mast that goes high up in the living room. Then on stage 4, we defined there's a copper heading, there's a wooden wall with copper fins. The switches we decided to be black round. So all of the little details at this point should be defined. That moving forward, you should get exactly what you see in terms of design. Stage 5, the most interesting and the fun in Portugal, is the construction. And so as any other country, You start digging the ground, building the foundation, putting the rebar, and you start discovering new things as you go. For example, the materials are late, or once you dig, you hit a rock and you need to break the rock. Very typical scenarios, and you need a very good team, engineers, architects, project managers, to respond to the queries on site, so that things don't get out of hand, the builder doesn't get annoyed and just leave the site. So a team that can communicate and respect each other's profession, so that let each other do the decision making with the client, so that things can move forward and not come to a grinding halt. If we're doing prefabricated or modular, you go to the factory and talk to the prefabricating system or the modular system. We look at the system they're building, make sure it's for plan, so that when it's delivered to the site, it can go together and it is what we want. And respond to the site queries, usually 2 or 3 times a week. And we carry out inspections. So go in and say, oh, this is not the rebar we agreed, or this hole is in the wrong place. Mr. Builder, can you fix that by next week? And these are typically accepted and they're remedied. There's a very tricky thing with communication with builders. You need to be respectful, informative, yet decisive. And it's a very fine line. You can very easily insult them and make them angry. But my wife is Portuguese and she's very good at navigating. And then when it's needed, I go in and I speak English and my wife translates. So everything usually turns out much better, because everybody needs to slow down a little bit to have things translated. Or my wife is a woman, and obviously and they take it easy with her. So things are the diplomatics of dealing with builders, it needs to be understood, and it's very important, because so often builders just walk off the site if you have an arrogant engineer or architect telling them what to do, and they get annoyed and like, I'm not doing this, and they disappear for months. So especially in Portugal, we need to keep a good eye on good relationship with the builder, and it's important to select the right builder for that reason also.
Wow, that's quite an insight, and what an amazing strategy you have for that.
Like good cop, bad cop with my wife.
Yes. Yeah.
So this is one example. For example, you have a little, I don't know, entrance that is built in like a traditional roof and just put glass on it. We demolish it. We did the steel fabrication. The steel was cut and delivered and then assembled in one day, and the canopy was done in one day. So the demolition took, I don't know, a day as well. So the whole canopy was 2 days of work and a little bit more of design. So
what an incredible transformation. This is why I love your work, Daniel. It's wonderful.
Thank you. It's man, this is the kitchen, for example. Old traditional Portuguese kitchen, beautiful in its way. It has its charm, but it's outdated and it needs new, bigger fridge, microwave, oven, hub, etc. So it's just taken apart, put a new one in with a nice clean design. Stage 6, we carry inspection. So we go through and do a snag list. We look at the little paints and the switches and every little thing that the builder has done at the end and it's still not right. So if there is a chip on the stone, and if the paint is broken in some corner, or if the flooring is damaged, we ask all of that to be remedied. And I compared this to buying a car. And so often the client at this point is so overwhelmed by the process that says, okay, now I just want my house. I don't care. I don't care if that little thing is broken or this is scratched. And I say to them, well, you wouldn't buy a car that has a big scratch on it. So give a month, let the builder fix all the little details. It's worth it.
Yeah, and you're there, aren't you, to take a stand on that when maybe a bit of desperation is set in.
Exactly, and you need people get tired, of course, because they want to move
Yes.
in. Maybe they've been renting a house for a year. Now they want to move into their house and they can see it built. It's, it has a roof, it has windows, it's habitable. I can go in. And it's just that little bit of extra at the end helps protect you and the future of the design, that things don't happen in 2 or 3 weeks that you think to yourself, I should have had the builder fix this properly.
Yeah.
And then when you call them back, then there's a whole other drama for them to come back. It's better to get everything done correctly.
Yes. Yeah.
And then we assist the client to get a use license. The rules are on this changing now. I think you no longer need to apply to get it to the council, but it's a declaration that you need to write and do by the architect. Regardless, we accommodate that. We help you get a use license so that later you can sell your house without a problem. And stage 7, we often do it if we're doing from the scratch. Construction is the interior design, and people have their own taste and they like to bring their own furniture. Absolutely fine, but we just aid with how to sort of take advantage of the spaces you have now with the correct furniture in the correct place.
Yeah.
So that's basically the architectural processes. And at this point, you should have a beautiful house that you can move in by Christmas.
That's a deadline you've heard before, is it?
Yeah, or every time. General overview, and I think trends is that timber construction is growing in Portugal. People are getting to like the speed, the efficiency, the fact that it breathes, and the understanding that if you use the correct timber with the correct treatment, then they're not going to get eaten or rot away. And they see countries like United States, Canada, New Zealand, Australia, construction in the internet, the people building on sites like YouTube, and they see that and they learn that, oh, it's not that bad. If it works in Canada with so much rain, it should work here. And so construction is moving a little bit towards lightweight structures, although there's still always going to be the timber, the masonry block work in Portugal, because builders have been doing this for years and they're used to that. Efficiency, longevity, sustainability. It goes down to how much do you want out of your house? Do you want to play a developer, build and sell, or do you want to build it for you? It's very difficult to meet both. You cannot have a house that is profitable, as in you can sell it and make a lot of money, and it's a house that is built with a lot of beautiful details and good quality materials. Because so often developers build with cheaper materials and they just mass produce design, so it's not custom, so they can make a good profit from it. But if you're doing a custom made house and you go through the trouble of selecting the beautiful stone countertop and the beautiful flooring and the well ventilated system, all of that adds to the cost of the house. So you're investing in the future of the house. And for that reason, it should be your forever house. So at the very beginning, you should choose, if I'm going to sell this, I should choose right at the beginning. It cannot be both. It cannot be a forever house and a good profit house. Something that I have to repeat to the clients. So, and so often I see that the clients want to do the forever house and they choose the good taps and the good bathroom fittings and the good flooring, and they end up being happy in that house for a long time. This I talked about before, local council. A lot of people talk about local council and local architects, but it's a misunderstanding. If you know the process, you can work with any council. And the process is very straightforward. I just went through what you need for a planning application. And you shouldn't be obliged to use local engineers, local landscape architects, local architects. You should be able to use any architect. In fact, for design, the initial stage, you can even use a foreign architect. You can use an architect from Spain if you wish. So the concept of local architect or local council, I think is misleading and redundant in the world that we live now. Costs, something that everybody's interested in. I just skipped it, huh? Costs are important. About 2 years ago, when we did this, the costs were around 1,500, 1,200 to 1,500, 600 per square meter, I would say. And I think they are now at 1,700 minimum to 2,500, 2,400. So a third of the price has gone, no, maybe 60%. The prices have gone up 60% in the past 2 to 3 years.
Wow, that's quite the hike, isn't it?
Yeah. And it has to do with what's happening in Lisbon. Prices are ridiculous. Now there are flats in Lisbon more expensive than Paris or London. So it's just a reflection of what is happening. Nevertheless, it is still cheaper to build in Portugal than to build in somewhere like United States or New Zealand. And so there's a plus side still to it. So it's important to take into account the costs right from the beginning so that you're not surprised midway through. Now, I think that was helpful. I went through it fast, but I hope we can answer questions now.
We do have some questions, yeah.
At the end.
Yes, for sure. I think some of the questions we may hold for the hangout with you after the end of the recording. Something that caught my ear was you talking about what people have seen on YouTube. How much has your job changed since YouTube's been around, and how much more educated people have become?
It's very good, actually. I have to do very little in educating clients.
Yeah.
Some cases. There are still clients that require the holding of the hand and step-by-step explanation.
Yeah.
But that goes without saying, and we are available for that, and we put that into the time frame and how we're going to develop this. But it has helped because a lot of people now can go through YouTube and in the social media and go through the entire building process in another country. Typically in Canada or United States, it's very well documented. And they see what they have to do right from foundation all the way to the painting the house at the end. So it has made the job easier in terms of we need to educate.
Very good. And then you're able to get on with what you do best, which is the flair and what you bring to it as an individual architect. What's your favorite part of the process, Daniel?
It has to be, I mean, you're asking a designer, do you prefer to design or do you prefer to build? My favorite part has to be stage 2,
Right.
Which is the design bit, design 2 and 3 and 4, I have to say.
Right.
And
Okay.
mainly because you're creating something from nothing.
Yeah.
And that's the part, stage 2 and 3 especially, is where most of the thinking happens.
Yes.
There is little labor, so there is labor, but little. In stage 4, where we have to produce the construction drawings, there's a lot of labor in that. You need to put a lot of hours, but it's simple drawing production method.
Yeah.
You just produce drawings. But at the beginning, it's a lot of thinking, and I love that. I love to think ahead. So when I'm designing it at stage 2, I'm thinking about stage 4 details so that the rest of the process is smooth and without a problem.
Wonderful. Can really hear your passion, and we can see it with the images we've seen. They're absolutely beautiful. Let's get into the questions. Denise, I've been advised that building in Portugal is extremely time consuming. I mean, you made some reference to that, taking 5 to 7 years from start to finish for a moderate 4-bedroom, 2 to 3 bathroom house, including municipality approvals. That's a bit extreme, isn't it? I'll roll another question into it, though, so you can answer both. I've been told that it takes so long to build here in Portugal, so one should not attempt to build or refurbish and concentrate on a turnkey house. Is that correct? How long can it take? If starting now, can it really be built by Christmas this year? So do you want to address that? It's an interesting question, isn't it? Or an interesting couple of questions there.
Yeah. The planning application, the entire planning application, from the architectural to the engineering, to the builder's sort of information that needs to submit to the council should take between 4 to 6 months maximum. So that's 6 months for the planning stage, where you plan how to build a house. Construction, if you go with the typical construction, where you come and dig the floor and you build everything on site, and by that I mean you don't deploy prefabricated or modular. If you don't do that, you should have the building completed within a year and a half. If it's not, the builder is doing something absolutely wrong. He's either doing it as a part-time job, or he's disappearing, or he has too many projects. So the entire process, from the moment you meet with the architect to the moment you're at your house, and I'm speaking 3-bedroom, 180 square meter house with a swimming pool, should be 2 years.
Yes.
Not more than that. Let's say 1 or 2 months more for defects and adjustments.
Yes.
But I've built a house myself and by myself, and I can do it in 2 years. So if there's a team of builders doing it, they should be able to do it in a year.
You did it yourself. You did the building yourself as well. You're
so if a person can build a house by themselves, you should be able. The team of builders, competent team of builders, should be able to do it in a year.
Yes, and those nightmare timescales that we're hearing about is when things go horribly wrong, and that's exactly why Daniel's here to address that, and that's why it's important to get decent professionals on the job and a good team, as you mentioned, so that things don't come to that. And there are variables, aren't there? There are a lot of moving parts to this, so things can go awry. But the important thing is to have a decent professional running it, a project manager and an architect, as Daniel outlined for you.
If I build up on that, you can't have a house completed by Christmas this year. It's just, maybe you could if you do prefabricated or modular.
Yes.
So that's what, 9 months. But the biggest obstacle or time delay is that stage 4 that I mentioned.
Yes.
If that became regulation in Portugal, it would change things instantly.
Yes.
Because if you have construction drawings, you are defining how everything should be built with what material and what finishes. Then the builder is safe, you are safe, everybody knows what's going to go into the building, there are no surprises, the cost is defined because you have the products, you have the square meters, so things should move forward. And so often that lack of professional input leads to the builder not knowing what to use, getting tired of the project, disappearing for 2 years, etc.
Yes, and that's why you employ an architect to oversee the process. Very good. Debbie, a question for later. Well, that's now, Debbie. If a refurb needs repairs to the envelope to address interior dampness, is this considered major for planning application purposes? Are there different or preferred methods? Thanks from Debbie there.
No. If you use the same color as it is right now, so externally, and you keep the window frames the same color, then you are, let's assume you use the Caputo system, which is basically insulation on the outside with the layer of render and paint on it. You're enlarging the building by, let's say, 3 or 4 centimeters. So technically, it's a complete change to the whole building. But that's because it's for improving the living standards. It's just typically, depends on the council, typically it's just the information. So an architect will write a description of what is happening. We're keeping the same color, we're keeping the same windows, etc. And it's just informing the council of the changes you're going to do.
Right. Denise is keeping you busy, and we'll talk more to you, Denise, after we've concluded the recording. This is an interesting one, though, for everybody's benefit. The shape of properties in Portugal are mostly very odd. I think that's when, with ad hoc development, I think you're referring to there possibly, or some of the parcels of land as well, maybe. Does this increase the difficulty of extensions to existing properties? I see so many with the outside walls right on the edge of the street, no space between the house and the street. Can this be changed at all if there is a lot of land behind the existing property? Thank you.
Yes, if it's a difficult one to answer because it really depends on the exact case. There are a lot of houses built right to the front of the street.
Yes.
Because they've been built, I don't know, 50 years ago.
Yeah.
The laws were not in place. And if you want to build that now, you're not going to be allowed. If on the sides you are touching the property, the neighbor's property, if it's done old, you can refurbish it. But if it's done illegally, you need to demolish it. So there is
Right.
so much illegal development. So some
Yeah.
of the things you have seen are either really old that the council doesn't care about, or they've been done illegally right to the property boundary. And if for any case in future somebody buys that house, they need to either legalize it or demolish it.
Mm. And that's why it'll be useful for the client to talk to you at that stage
Exactly.
to investigate what the potential and the possibility is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We
Okay.
see what is legal. So if you're buying a house and has way too many extensions, you need to check with an architect, with the council, on what is registered in the council as legal property. So
Yes.
it might be two-thirds of that. And then at the same time, you can talk to the council, well, there is all of this built. If it was built before 1950 something, you can legalize it. But if it's been built after, you need to debate, you need to challenge it with the council. You can still legalize it, but the council might request you demolish it. So
Yeah.
it's
So
important to know what you're buying, how much of it is
exactly.
legal property.
Yes. That professional insight at the right time could save you a lot of money and heartache and stress. And to employ Daniel, to get in touch with Daniel, you can see the details on the screen there. You can also find him in the Expats Portugal business directory. We'll pause the recording in just a moment. We'll give you a final word, of course, Daniel, and invite if you're watching this on YouTube, it's a good idea to be here and be in the private audience with our webinar speakers on a Thursday evening, which is one of the benefits of being an Expats Portugal member. And you can come along as a paying guest to one-off webinars if they take your fancy as well. Find out more at expatsportugal.com. Final word to you then, Daniel. Thank you so much for being here tonight.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Final words, I think, would be employ professional people to do the work for you.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be us, it can be any architect, but it's better for you to have the right team so that you don't go through difficulties in life. And hopefully we don't get stories like a building would take 7 years, right?
Yes. Yes. You can probably see that story on YouTube, but let's avoid that sort of thing. Get in touch with Daniel via the Expats Portugal Business Directory. Daniel, and everybody here tonight, thank you for your questions. Let's have a private audience with you now.